Here to talk more about his campaign and its progress is candidate Carl DeMaio. Carl, good morning.
Actually, there are 50 days left in the election as of tomorrow morning, and I'm running for the 50th. 50 days left for the 50th. So
there you go.
It's coming awfully quick.
Yes. So how are you feeling about your campaign? First off?
I feel really good because I think, people in San Diego, they know me, that I'm a fighter. Career politicians, they talk a good game. They tell us what we want to hear, but then they go to Sacramento or to Washington and they sell us out and they do the backroom deals. And the issues that they run on, securing the border, taking care of our veterans, addressing the homeless crisis, those issues get worse and worse and worse. But what happens consistently? Politicians continue to make sure that their interests are taken care of. And so I think what we need is a shakeup in the whole system. The president calls it draining the swamp, and it's something that I completely agree with. You got to drain the swamp, shake up the system, and force politicians to live under the same laws as the rest of us, no exemptions, and hold people accountable for actually doing what they said they would do. The problem that the president has in Washington, he's trying to advance a good agenda. Securing the border, restoring our military strength, putting together an America First foreign policy. But he's got the socialists on one side that are trying to thwart his agenda and trying to drive him from office with the phony impeachment witch hunt. And even in his own party, he has sellouts that smile and say they're with the president, but they knife him. They don't support him. They don't have his back. And so what I think we need to do is have a focus on fighting for the people, doing what we say we're going to do, standing on principle, and being measured based on results. And I think people know that I've been a fighter. At City Hall, I fought to fix the financial crisis. I took on Democrats and Republicans to do that. We blocked their tax increases. We cut the politicians' perks, their lavish pensions. And we were able to fix the financial crisis that the city faced. In California, I've used my my platform on radio and my chairmanship of Reform California to fight those unfair tax increases statewide, most recently the unfair car tax and the gas tax. And I'm going to hold politicians accountable. We did the recall against State Senator Josh Newman. He was the deciding vote on both the car tax and the gas tax, and he was the deciding vote on that SB 54 sanctuary state law that is putting our communities at risk.
This is the guy from Orange County.
From Orange County. I said, you know what? We're going to recall this state senator for violating the trust that he should have with his constituents. And everyone said it's not going to happen because recalls virtually always fail. But working with the grassroots, volunteers, we collected the signatures and we recalled him from office. 60% vote to recall him. And it was the only successful recall of a state senator in 104 years in California. It was only the 5th successful recall of a public official in California in 104 years, the last being Governor Gray Davis. And so what I want to do is empower who I call the forgotten Californians. They constantly have policies imposed on them, whether it's a tax increase or restrictions on their personal freedoms like banning plastic straws, or they see the homeless strewn out on the sidewalks and they say, what about me? When am I actually going to be taken care of? What is someone going to be my voice in government? And what I've given them, I think, is a voice through those citizen initiatives. But I think we can do more. And that's why I want to be their voice in Congress.
Well, call it draining the swamp, shaking up Congress, all that. As a freshman congressman going in, you're going to face a lot of pushback at trying to be anti-establishment.
Well, look, seniority, I think, is irrelevant. If you want to come and run for office saying, like my opponent, Darrell Issa, I have 18 years, I have seniority. Yeah, you are well practiced in the failure of the swamp. You are too tied to that culture. And you had 18 years, and what the heck did you do? You cut and run when the president needed you to run for re-election in your seat. You didn't secure the border. You gave us double talk. And so I don't think seniority is actually a positive. I think seniority in the Washington swamp is a negative. Take a look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I oppose everything that she supports. She's a socialist. But she's shown how a tenacious freshman can go to Washington and drive the debate. Now, I think like Thelma and Louise, she's driving her party's car off the cliff. But seniority is not something that is a plus. It's actually a negative. And I think what you need are people who have demonstrated that they can fight.
He seems to argue, though, that his years having been a former congressman, he can reach across the aisle. And it's about not only discussing but listening.
Oh, yes.
And coming to compromise.
Let's reach across the aisle. Let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. How's that worked out for us? We haven't gotten the border wall built. We're not supporting our ICE agents to do their jobs. We have veterans that don't have the quality health care that they deserve. Our cost of living is going through through the roof. So tell me how the Kumbaya culture of Washington, of go along to get along, is working out. It doesn't work out. And so one of the things I'm doing is I'm putting specifics on the table. When people say drain the swamp, I say fix Congress by this 10-point plan. I didn't want to just say shake up the culture. I put out 10 points. Here are some of the 10 points. Number one, eliminate all the exemptions that members of Congress have voted themselves. Force them to live under the same laws as the rest of us. No more privileges. Number two, cut their pensions, eliminate the pensions, eliminate all the perks. They should be put into, for example, the VA healthcare system. The reason why the healthcare system is broken and that the veterans aren't getting the healthcare that they deserve is Congress doesn't see it as a priority. They pay lip service to it. But I have a sneaking suspicion that if members of Congress had to wait in the same line, if they had to get the same shoddy quality of care that our veterans are subjected to, that you would see an improvement in VA healthcare overnight. And so that's a reform. No budget, no pay. If they don't get the budget done on time, they permanently forfeit their pay for every day that it's late. Another one, let's make sure that we open up the books of Congress. Force members of Congress to turn over their emails, their records. I want to know who they're meeting with, who they're talking to. And another good one that I think needs to be instituted, read the bill first. Require that every member of Congress sign, under penalty of perjury, a statement before they vote on every bill that I have personally read every word. Two things will happen. Number one, you'll start getting very short bills on single subjects without all the secret hidden items. And number two, you and I will have advance notice on what's in the legislation. We'll be able to read it first. Remember when Nancy Pelosi made the offensive comment during the Obamacare debate in 2010? It's a 1,000-page bill, taking over a huge portion of our economy and limiting individual freedom and imposing a massive tax, the Obamacare tax. And she said, oh, we're not going to read it. We have to pass the bill first to find out what's in it. And I, like most Americans, sat back and said, this is what's wrong with Washington. These people literally are doing things in the dead of night. So the read the bill first penalty of perjury statement that every member of Congress will have to sign is designed to make the legislation more simple, shorter, single subject, but also give us—
make yourself accountable.
Give us a chance to see what's in it as well. So look, if you want to drain the swamp, you got to not just talk about draining the swamp, you got to put specifics in the plan. And that's why on my website, joincarldemaio.org, I put the plan out there. I want to be accountable. So I'm running for Congress with specific plans on border security, draining the swamp, cleaning up the Tijuana River sewage. This week, I'm very excited about my clean initiatives, clean streets initiative that I'm rolling out to deal with homelessness, to make sure that we stop funding failure and that we actually clean up the streets and deal with the mental health crisis and substance abuse crisis and the drug crisis that we've got going on the streets. And so people may disagree with my plans, but at least I'm being more specific than the talking points that politicians offer.
Okay. Carl DeMaio.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Carl.
Good seeing you again.